Welcome to the Creative Plan Podcast Network. Join us as we share our favorite RPGs, one-shot games, tabletop games, reviews of items, and convention panels, and other exciting things that we run into from time to time. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, assigned to Ragnarok Story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and RPGpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
Hey guys, August the 17th for RPGaDay. And the word of the day is... not the one that's victory, but the one that's the loneliest number of them all.
This one time at Bard Camp. No.
Many flutes were lost that day.
Let's see here. One. As in numeral no.
Yes, one.
It's like, that's kind of... Well, okay, you know what? One of the first times I was ever playing the new 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons with the whole advantage disadvantage, and I remember that I was trying to make an athletics roll for my halfling rogue Tilda, to see whether or not she could clamber up or she gets caught in the flood. And okay, been a long time since I played, and especially in, well, it's a halfling, so I think it was advantage,
because there's a rope involved, I think.
Yeah, and so I rolled my 2 20s, and they both came up as critical fails. Oh my god, both of them came up as ones. Oh, but what's worse is I totally forgot that halflings can reroll ones.
Because they're lucky.
So, I mean, it worked. I mean, I lived. And it was like, they rescued me. I almost drowned. And so now I will never forget that a halfling can reroll a 1. And what are the chances of rolling 2 critical fails in the same roll? But an even funnier thing is, one of the other players was laughing hysterically at me.
Yes,
and
he was.
Dice Karma, sure enough, he was making fun of me. He had to roll advantage. And he rolled 2 1s. Oh my god. I mean, now, chances of rolling 2 1s at the same time, but then having the next player also roll that is pretty darn ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, I was an art major for a reason. Math is not my forte, but I know that's pretty up there.
Because it's 5% of a 5% to do it. Yeah. It's scary. That's like C-3PO numbers there.
Yeah, so 1.
The 1 you'll never forget.
The 1 I'll never forget.
See, I will throw a bonus one out there. Get it? Bonus one. Check out the new Dungeons and Dragons Essential Kit. It's the new starter set that has different features from the old starter set, which is great. Because the reason why I bring 1 is it has rules in it so you can play in player groups as small as 2 players, 1 GM and 1 adventure. It has new hireling rules so you can have an entire party of hirelings working for you, and special stats for them so that way you can have that one player playing an entire party with 1 character and a bunch of hirelings, which I thought was interesting. But the one I will actually use is the critical fail. Because let's not forget, rules is written in D&D now. 1 is not a critical failure.
What do you mean? What?
technically a 1 is a failure, but it's no longer a critical failure. Because remember, natural 20s, except for combat checks, are not anything important now. If you were cooking and you rolled a natural 20, it's just the same as rolling a 15 or a 12.
Oh, that bites.
So I would like to say, as a GM, there's nothing more exciting on your players' faces than seeing when they roll a natural 20. And there's nothing more as enjoyable as an evil Lich King GM who wants to see his players roll 1s and shoot each other in the back, or drop their swords, or fling their weapon past the wall of kobolds that they now have to get past to get to it. Which, you do know all of those horrible crit fails, which are the 1s, actually lead flavor to the story. Because think about it. If you're having critical success, why can't you have critical failure?
Exactly.
So I always like to flavor up my 1s with a little extra something, a little extra +1 to the natural 1s.
Yeah, like an arrow in the back of your friend, or, or hey, that bowstring breaks, or your weapon goes flying and you are now disarmed.
It's even more horrible at higher levels when your cool vocal sword goes flying off into the hands of a goblin. Does the goblin strike with it, or does he run away with it?
If he's smart, he runs away.
He's going to run away, cash in, and buy himself a castle. I have stolen the baby sword! So that's what I've got for 1s, is making sure to keep some crit fail in your pocket. As a GM, make sure you have the idea in any encounter that you're writing to have what would you do if a natural 1 came up. More importantly, natural 1s are not that the player fails, but that some bad thing happens. Sort of like in Numenera when they have the GM intrusion, which is what they call the natural 1s. It's not that you suck, it's that this bad thing happened at the exact same moment. So that way the player doesn't feel like, I suck. No, it's not that you suck, it's just that stuff happens. Crit fail happens. As everybody says, crit happens, then you turn the button down and upside down, it says crit fail happens. It all depends on which yin-yang karma you're rolling with. And hey, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander, so make sure as a GM, when your creatures roll natural 1s, you listen to your players when they throw out ideas. Just like in Star Wars in the Genesis system. When all those threats come up and despair comes up for the GM, make sure you got some cool things to throw out to make your villains look like chumps for your players. Because sometimes it's nice when Darth Vader drops his lightsaber. I mean, we all remember those moments where like something happens and the big bad looks at you and they're just like...
And the door closes and you just can't get it open.
Yeah.
You're a badass with the Force, but you can't stop the door.
Well, the story requires the data pad to escape.
Exactly.
So in that game, the player is actually Darth Vader, and the GM's spending all those destiny points to get
that. Exactly.
Just keep playing hot potato and passing it along. So never be afraid of the natural 1 because it makes story stuff happen.
Exactly.
Which is good. And make sure that it's equal opportunity fail on both sides. Because sometimes you just need your big bad to suck it up when you roll. When he's summoning the power of all the death gods and pulling the heart out of you, and then he rolls a crit fail.
Although I do want to bring up one thing. Because I know back in the day, they actually had some solo modules where you could play, like you didn't have a GM, you didn't have, I can't remember the name of the one, but oftentimes it would have the little red gel screen, thing that
decoder.
So that you could go over, so you didn't get all the information right away. You had to use a little red filament to pass over the so you can see the letters and stuff. They should really do something like that again.
Sort of like the Lone Wolf Choose Your Own Adventure books, where you had a character sheet at the beginning of the book.
But you had the maps, you had the whole thing. I mean,
so you can play D&D solo.
Yeah, that would be a lot of.
Well, we've talked about it once before, but the GM's Guide is the randomizer. You could have a GM-less game where just random things happen.
Yeah, but this was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's also a great tool for learning D&D too,
Hmm.
as a teaching opportunity. So that's what we've got for August the 17th. One.
There can be only one! Trying to do a Christopher Lambert.
There can be only one.
There can be only one.
And then we're coming up to August 18th tomorrow. Today is one, but tomorrow is plenty.
Plenty?
Plenty.
Good and plenty. Ooh, that's an awesome
Candy.
game, candy, you know. Of course, you have to like black licorice, which I happen to like. Good and plenty. But for plenty, I would have to say...
We gotta wrap it up there first.
Okay.
Alrighty, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.
Down in the depths of the mountain, we dwarves spend our time forging powerful weapons, mining precious gems and metals, and feasting like kings. But after a day of digging for the next Arkenstone, this dwarf likes to come home to a package full of loot. Dungeon Crate is a monthly subscription box service forged specifically for RPG and tabletop gamers. Miniatures, dice, tokens, coins, maps, modules, terrain pieces, handcrafted items, RPG jewelry, and more are yours for only a few gold per month. You even get a digital crate along with a physical one as an added bonus. So are you brave enough to reward yourself with a Dungeon Crate? By Morden's beard, I hope so. DungeonCrate.com. Let the adventure begin.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. And feel free to enjoy our other shows, such as D&D Journey of the 5th Edition and Scion Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion hero to Ragnarok story. Thank you for listening.